Well, hey there, it's Dr. Kevin Dobrinsky. I hope this video finds you doing well, and it is still Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Month, so I wanted to bring this quick video to you because in the past I talked about how to prevent these TBIs and concussions from occurring, which essentially is just trying to be smart and cautious around protecting your head. Because as we know, your brain moves around inside your skull, and your skull inside has really sharp, bony ridges inside. And as that brain moves, it gets damaged, even in the car, which is a very common cause for traumatic brain injuries. When you go through whiplash, your head snaps back, snaps forward. It could be sports when your head goes side to side. You hitting something with your head, a soccer ball, or you hopefully not getting hit in your head from something, whether that's a ball, an object, etc., or of course falling, which one of the biggest causes of TBIs is just slipping on the ice, falling off ladders, etc. So we want you to be safe. So please be cautious. Wear a helmet, which can help protect your brain a little bit, even though it's designed to protect your skull and your cranium, if you will. But if you've had a concussion like I have had in the past as a youth, being a rambunctious little kid with ADHD, and then of course playing football pretty competitively for about 10 years, I've suffered a lot of head trauma in my past, and I have imaging to actually verify that, which is not a bad idea to consider. First and foremost, if you ever suffer any sort of head trauma, make sure you check in at the hospital. Go to the emergency room. Make sure you don't have any bleeding on the brain, because we want to get you out of any sort of critical situation, first and foremost. And then really pay attention to those days and weeks after any sort of head trauma, or again, you don't even have to hit your head. If you're in a car accident, pay attention to things like vomiting, if you're really sleepy, if you're confused, your brain isn't functioning correctly. Brain fog is very common, anxiety, depression, etc., and that's why I made this video, because I struggled with depression years ago, and then I looked at my brain, easy for me to say, through a brain spec image, SPEC, which is basically an imaging that they use to look at blood flow to the brain, and I saw some of this damage. So if you've had previous encounters with concussions, TBIs, you may want to take a snapshot of your brain to see what it looks like, and then you can go ahead and start working on some therapeutics for that. There's also something called a QEEG, something that you can get as well. It's like brain mapping. They can take a look at your brain to see if there's been any damage in the past, or if you're currently dealing with anything as well. So that leads me to some of the therapies when it comes to concussions. Even if it happened a decade or two ago, there's things you can still do to improve your brain. One of the great things about brain research and therapies today is we now know you can change your brain, which is phenomenal. Years ago, we thought, well, you get this brain and that's it. You get it, you can't change it, but now we know we can change the brain. We can actually grow new neurons in our brain, but we can also kill them off through traumatic experiences like this. So when your brain shifts around your head, there is a lot of inflammation that occurs. And that's something like, just having an injury to, if you've ever injured your elbow, your wrist, your hand, or sprained an ankle, it can get red, swollen, etc. Same thing happens in your brain. Fortunately, your brain doesn't have any pain sensors to it. And so some of those symptoms, again, can lead to or become anxiety, depression, brain fog, etc. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to be able to calm that inflammation down. And you can do that through using both diet, and you can use supplements as well. First and foremost, try to, when it comes to diet, remove or eliminate a lot of grains and sugars. You don't want to be eating a high carbohydrate diet. You want to eat more healthier fats, okay, for your brain. In fact, when I talk about fats, there are a lot of people today that use what we call MCT, medium chain triglycerides. This is found in a coconut oil, and the reason people use that is because it's a great fuel source. It turns into what we call ketone, which is an energy source for your brain, and your brain really likes that. So even for people that have gone through really traumatic brain trauma and maybe are dealing with other sorts of brain dysfunction like Alzheimer's disease or even a tumor, going on a ketogenic diet has benefits to that. In fact, it's a therapeutic intervention for seizures. So healthy fats are important. So MCTs Also, omega-3s. You want to make sure that you are consuming omega-3s if you've been through this. And again, remember, this video is about basically giving you some ideas and information. This is not necessarily a prescription for you because I don't know you and you're not my patient. But anyway, I'm trying to give you the best information I possibly can. So look at those fats, okay? The other thing you want to consider is vitamin D, very important for the brain and how it communicates, cellular function. So vitamin D is very important. And then calming inflammation down, there's lots of what we call antioxidants or polyphenols that can control and dampen inflammation. One of my favorites is vitamin C because it crosses what we call this blood-brain barrier. It can get into our brain and actually have an effect. Curcumin is another one. Resveratrol is another one. In fact, vitamin E, which is a fat-soluble vitamin, works very well with vitamin C together. I'm not here, I don't want to overwhelm you. Hopefully I'm not doing that, but the whole idea is let's calm down inflammation first and foremost is what we want to do, then eventually increase blood flow to that brain so it can recover faster. Now, some of the things that you can do to increase blood flow, exercise is phenomenal. Now, if you're still dealing with your brain and not feeling well because you just had some sort of traumatic brain injury or insult or concussion, you want to keep your head stable as possible. But once you start feeling better, we want to increase blood flow to the brain. So exercise works really, really well. In fact, exercise, when you're doing it at a high intensity level, really increases something called BDNF, which is like fertilizer for your brain. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Another therapeutic you could use to help with brain injuries is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. This is something that I've experienced. Basically, hyperbaric oxygen therapy improves oxygenation and blood flow to the brain. Okay? And then getting back to the QEEG, I mentioned it can map your brain. There's something called neurofeedback that could actually help improve brain function as well. So you have lots of things that you can focus on. Diet's really, really important. Don't forget about hydration. Most of your brain is water, so make sure you hydrate. Think about the fats. We talked about MCTs that you can take. Fish oil, we talked about vitamin D, and then vitamin E is also a fat-soluble vitamin. And then we talked about reducing inflammation through vitamin C, resveratrol, curcumin. These are just a few ideas that you can start to use on your own. And of course, it's always wise to check with your physician and professionals that you may be working with. Again, this is just information. But the other thing that I wanted to say is that you could also just start reading up on this on your own. There is a colleague of mine, his name is Kabran Chopik, and he wrote a book called Concussion Rescue. Phenomenal book, and I highly recommend it for you because it can give you some of the things that I mentioned here, and you can have it in the book at home as a resource for yourself, or if you ever do bang your head or get hit in the head. Anyway, we got to take care of this. If we take care of this, it takes care of us. And again, I brought this video to you. Previous video was on trying to prevent injuries to the brain. This one is more about how can we help actually address, these injuries to the brain, to the things we talked about here today. And of course, there's more coming your way, so please subscribe and like this video so I can send you more of these. Anyway, I'm Dr. Kevin. If you need more information, go up to the banner above at drkevindobrinsky.com. And there's more free in-depth training at that website. Anyway, thanks for being here. I will see you shortly. And until I do, I'm Dr. Kevin. I want you to eat well and be well.